This means everything for all the work that I was able to accomplish and be acknowledged for. I've had a lot of good people supporting me along the years, can't tell how many, and that includes my husband, who provided the support I needed along the way. I'm just feeling really honored, and I am so pleased with what I was able to do. And to get the recognition from my own peers is just unbelievable. I am just feeling so honored. Growing up with CP in Ogdensburg, I didn't have the same experience growing up. So I had to do a lot of outreach and education because no one understood what it was like growing up with CP. And when I did expand on that thought, it was still very, very difficult. So I'm glad that I was able to reach out and educate people. Although at the time, I wasn't aware of what actually I was doing because, growing up in a small town, you don't get that full education because you're kind of guessing what you're doing. I tried to do educating the people in my base on what needed to be done. I didn't know about the lifts on the buses or what that was about, but I did try to get access for sidewalks, curb cuts. I did that and I thought, am I doing this right? But apparently some sidewalks did get put in. There were a few here and there. So I did make some sort of awareness to them. Well, I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm surprised today that I'm even able to do what I did and give it a name because I didn't know there was a name for it. That was fun. I mean, I think I was arrested 6 times, something like that. I remember being able to climb the governor's office, and that was a trip within itself. But I got the ability to be able to climb some of the steps that we did. It was good. I was able to make progress. The lift on the buses enabled people to get from place to place. They weren't sure they wanted it at first. They were angry. Well, I don't know if angry comes about, but they sure didn't know what to think about with the lifts on the buses. But I thought it was a very good idea. I know when I went to New York City, I said, we've got to do this. And I didn't really give it a thought. I just thought, we got to do it because you can go where you need to go. You don't have to schedule a ride. You had to call transportation 15 days in advance, and that's if you got the ride. And that was just not doable. They wanted everything in a bubble. We don't live in a bubble. They had to really, I guess, think about it. I was happy with the decision, even if the services weren't available to everyone. They were available to many people, and that's what I wanted them to get a taste of what I thought when I went there. Because I don't know, I just thought we got to do it. And I didn't even give it a thought as to what's involved. The transit people just thought, you're crazy. We didn't really want to do it because when I called them out in a meeting, that was something they just weren't ready to handle.
Do you remember when you first saw a disabled person getting on a bus in Rochester and how you felt?
You know what? I do. Because he was a very good friend and he was wanting to get on the bus and make the point that we do need something like this. He actually crawled on the bus. He went up on the floor of the bus and actually transferred himself to the bus and got up there and just did it. And it was amazing. I really thought, you know what, this can work. This can happen. people were actually very accepting of him climbing the bus and getting on. They actually assisted him, and it was a big deal. They actually saw what we were trying to prove, and it was amazing. After the protest, they decided that they were going to put the lifts on the buses. And I was actually very surprised that we were able to hit the important issue that just happened. I thought it couldn't be any better than what it was. It gave me great satisfaction. Couldn't believe it was happening. It was just satisfying. And also, I think at that time, the governor also began to work with us, working on not dead yet issues. That was an experience in itself, too.
You were at Jack Kevorkian's trial.
Yes, I went because people were being affected and it didn't need to happen. They were talking to people before they were ready to be discharged from a hospital. They were kind of forcing people to choose. Really, what happened was I went there and I met him, and it was really overwhelming because I didn't expect him to, kind of reach out and say something actually to me, because he reached out and dealt with the issue of physician suicide. And he decided that he wanted to talk about the issue. I thought, let me do this, but I was kind of nervous because I didn't know what to expect from him. And when he looked at me, I had chills just going up my spine. I just tried to look the other way, but that wasn't working. I put the information down, and then I remember the judge saying, "You want to be stopped?" He said, "Then consider yourself stopped." And she laid down the gavel. That was like just overwhelming. I'm glad to see it was done. I did help a group of people get transferred to the location where we needed to be. My husband drove. Well, my husband drove and brought information, and we drove there, and we thought it would be a good thing for them to meet up with the issue so they could learn. Yeah, I was in the courtroom. I mean, I was out in the open, which was scary too, but I wanted to make an awareness about the issue, about what he was doing. It was easy for him to say, come on board. And I just felt like he was ready to do the killing that he wanted to do. And it was just unbelievable that such an animal could be part of the program, so to speak. He did stare at me for quite a while. The judge saw me too, and I think that had an impact on the decision. I and the crew were representing the people who were part of the trip that we organized, and we were there to help others understand what was going on. People with disabilities need to be able to live in the community, not just their home. They need to have a home to be in. We fought to maintain them for housing. People wanted to be in their own home, not something else that wasn't theirs.
What happened when Helen got out of the nursing facility?
Oh, that was interesting. I was able, when she was getting discharged from the hospital, I wanted her to be able to have things that she needed. So we put some things together so that she could have housing that would keep her warm, because we had to set that up. And it was something that needed to happen. And we knew that she needed support, and that's what we wanted to provide. The first night she stayed with me, it was awesome because at least I was able to support her to do what she needed to do. She needed something she needed support. She needed just someone there to help her. And then, the next day we could work out setting up something for her. She was with me, and it was good. Helen loved being in the pizza arena. So we just put it together, and we had pizza for dinner. At the last minute, my husband, I recruited him, helped me get Helen from point A to point B. He just did it. He didn't have any questions. He provided the ride and everything. I think at the end of the trip, the poor van kind of gave in, but it's okay because we were able to work things out. The van, it went to Washington. We took it to the co-working hearing. Oh my God, it just went so many places. My husband was so good about it. He just took it where it would go. It was amazing. When I first moved to Rochester, I didn't know anybody at that time in Rochester, and he kind of hooked me up with like rides to the independent living movement, and I got to know people there, and so we hooked up there and got rides going at an independent living center, and I found that I liked it, and that's probably part of my taste for what I was doing. It kind of turned it on, and I don't know if my husband would say, "Oh no, here we go again," but I think he was really good about it. He never said no. So I was just really lucky to have him. I did everything I could to keep him home so he would not end up in a nursing home. My husband was tortured as a person because of how he grew up. We didn't want to go that route. That was an issue that we did not want to happen. Other people, or Joe, my husband, he had a lot of problems with growing up with the system. So we didn't want to take him down that same path. And so we worked really hard to keep him where he would be comfortable. I didn't want people being stuck like that. It just wasn't the right thing to do. I miss a lot of them because there's a story for each one. I remember one being Cindy Thrush, who was a real who never knew what she was going to come up with. Charlie Smith was always right there, ready to offer a hand. Pat Carpenter and Shelley Karen. She also was real important to the movement. She, was one of our board reps, and she was really important. Everybody was just important to the movement. For a while, I was part of the recreation program thing, and I just jumped in, not even thinking about what they didn't or didn't need. I just went ahead and did it. Oh my goodness. It was, 3 times a week? I think 3 times a week. It actually just provided like a close group to make the issue close, that they had a family that they would remember, that they were important to what was happening. We did that for a good number of years. Not to forget to mention the pool, because everybody had to get in the pool. That was important too. I am so proud of what I've been able to do over the years, and also being able to help the people that I've done. I think for them to know that they were important was necessary. Well, right now, I am having metastatic cancer. So it's being treated right now, but things are kind of up in the air. So, I've been trying to treat that. It's a new thing for me. I wouldn't change the story because I think it's important for them to know that you still have to go on. Well, I'm still on the board of CDR because if I don't do something, I don't want to go crazy. So being on the board is important. I need to be doing something. What else can you do? I'm glad to do that. Really happy to do that. And I'm glad that the people that I've will leave behind will have something to stand by. I want them to go on and continue to make this a better place. Don't forget what CDR is about. We worked really hard to co-found the program, and I want to really see it move on and be successful. I want to thank them because this honor is for me very big, and I know that being a part of NYSILC is really important. I want to thank everyone for the award. I've had a lot of respect given, and I appreciate that, what's been given.